So it's almost coming up to that time of year once again where we have to remind people about the National Trust and, of course, Restore Trust. Two very different organizations, one with something quite sinister in the back of their agenda, while the other is probably, if not one of the most successful um UK institutions that exist, that is responsible for like the custodianship of natural sites of beauty to hundreds of thousands of historic houses and sites. Why on earth are we once again having to talk about this? Well, it is worth reminding you, really, what the ultimate goal of Restore Trust is. And that is to be the single biggest transference of publicly owned land to private interests. Because ultimately, though Restore Trust like to veil themselves, um, they are trying to sort of restore some, I don't know, sense and normalcy or whatever they want to call it. But it's really once again fighting culture war issues. But the reality is that purpose is incredibly sinister. What would happen if they even got a majority on the National Trust Board would be hugely damaging. Hugely damaging. In fact, you would probably see story after story after story after story in in everywhere of just what is going on, what these people are doing, what they're doing to National Trust, and ultimately, like I said, biggest transfer of public land to private interests. So roundabout now, of course, it's soon over the next couple of months, people will be getting their National Trust, you know, voting forms for the upcoming AGM, and of course, the AGM will obviously say, here's who you're going to vote for. Here's who's on the slate. Bear in mind, these people are very open about being Restore Trust. So even if you know someone who is part of the National Trust, please do warn them about these people. Do tell them not to vote for these, culture war lunatics, because these people are trying to turn grievances that they have into some sort of, policy. There was recently an issue that they massively complained about, where one of the trust historical properties had the audacity to hang a disco ball in one of their rooms, and they absolutely flipped out. I mean, generally, they absolutely flipped out. But this room that was put in was a dancing hall. It was a party hall, a room where people would dance, and they sort of went, "Oh, hey, this is where people would dance. Maybe we should, hang a disco ball." I think it's just a really nice, quirky bit of marketing to sort of get people interested in history and something that they would sort of, we'd recognize, that, this is sort of what this room sort of should be used for. It's just a bit of nice quirky marketing, but of course not to them. It represents apparently the biggest degradation and the destruction of um honoring and looking after sort of the UK's past, and it would be a genuine disaster for these people to get in. So please, please, please do remember when it is coming to voting time, whether you know people in the National Trust, whether you are a member yourself, um, do not vote for these people. Um, they will be lunatics, absolute lunatics. And maybe we'll have to once again revisit their website in a couple of days, because it doesn't just you know stop there. Last year, I don't know if you remember, they were talking about vote rigging. That the only reason they lost was that, our members who, bear in mind, you have to apply in advance to have a seat at the AGM, would not be allowed to turn up. um, and participate in the AGM. But telling the National Trust in advance that you're going to be there has been a part of the AGM, I think, since its inception. I think. And yet they're complaining about something that's been there for decades at this point. But oh no, that's clearly vote rigging going on here. But this is what these people are, and I've always said these people who engage in the culture wars just ignore the fact, of course, that if they were and did get in charge, part of their agenda is to sell off huge swathes of National Trust land. Why? Because according to them, oh, the National Trust is bankrupt. It needs to balance its books. It needs to sell off some of this is unnecessary land. Yeah. I think we all get the point of what's going on here. But this probably won't be the last time we cover Restore Trust. But this is your annual reminder of what's going on in this world again. And don't worry, we will probably be covering some more videos about Restore Trust and their bonkers attitudes and policies that they would want to implement. But there you go. So anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please, please, please do. If you know anyone who's a member of the National Trust, etc., start spreading the word. Do tell them, these Restore Trust lunatics are at it again. Don't vote for them. So do spread the message, spread the warning, because otherwise you may even lose the kind of hilarious social media that the National Trust actually do of their obsession with scones, because even they've got a problem with that, social media posting. So yeah, um, do be aware of them, do start spreading the word, and do start to pay attention to when your voting stuff comes through the door. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.